I've got the newest information on potential tropical cyclone number 8, Tropical Depression Gordon, and what I think there's a better chance for tropical development right in our area. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back at Meteo Mundo. Great to see you on a Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. A lot to talk about in this video. We're going to get into all the details tropically. We're going to talk about the areas that have been blazing hot for today. Others have had some good heavy rain and some gusty winds as well. You know, I love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments section where you're viewing from, what the weather has been like in your area. We're going to get this video started, kind of just taking a look at what's going on right now, throwing that lightning back on. So I want to start with what's been going on in the Lesser Antilles for today. We'll say hi to our friends from Anguilla all the way down towards Trinidad and Tobago, where we have had a little bit of a shear axis, a little disturbance that's worked its way through, especially central and the southern sides of the islands. This is the visible satellite imagery on this Monday afternoon. You can see some of those brighter whites from Dominica and Martinique, St. Lucia back down towards portions of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada. Switch back over to the infrared imagery, and let's just go island by island, see what's been happening here. Now, again, we're seeing a few showers and storms trying to develop over Trinidad and Tobago at the hour. They're going to try and get as far north as Grenada, but isolated to scattered showers and storms over Trinidad to Tobago, over portions of the coastline of Venezuela towards Nueva Esparta. So we're going to get a few showers and storms in those areas. I'm also going to put on, by the way, your temperatures to start off with. Actually, these are going to be wind gusts that crop on first, and we'll point out some strong winds here coming up as well. But I also want to bring on these feels like temperatures. Once again, these are not air temperatures. This is what it feels like on the body, but we do have some excessive heat warnings for some of you. So it feels like it's 105 in Tobago right now. Port of Spain, Trinidad hit 110 for feels like temperatures. It's the heat index, what it really feels like when you step outside. That's over 43 degrees Celsius. Again, there's been a few areas where we've had a couple of passing showers to cool things off. We've had a few slip near Barbados for today, much more concentrated over the St. Lucia area, where again, back to wind gusts. We had a 35-mile-an-hour wind gust there in St. Lucia, some good downpours to cool things off. Martinique has had a couple of passing showers for today as well. Again, we've had a lightning strike here or there, but these have mainly just been some passing tropical downpours across the islands. Martinique, Dominica have had some of that rain. As far as, again, it feels like temperatures in these areas, it's been hot before the rain has come through, so it's been nice to cool things off. Our friend Chad Forbush is actually out there still cruising around the Lesser Antilles. Sent me this photo of Martinique yesterday, where they also had a couple of showers passing right over that beautiful island. Gorgeous shot there from Chad as he continues to go up and down the Lesser Antilles and just enjoy what's been a fantastic trip so far. Appreciate him sending in the pictures and the videos that he has. If you want to send me a picture or video to use in these YouTube videos here at Meteo Mundo, bottom right-hand side of your screen, myMeteoMundo@gmail.com. While you're checking that out, find us across all of our other social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, where we do some exclusive content, X and Facebook as well. We've had a lot of new subscribers on TikTok. Appreciate that. Again, the handle there is Meteo Mundo. So a few passing showers across this area. It gets drier the farther north that you go, and this is when it starts to get blazing hot. Now, we do have excessive heat warnings in effect for Antigua and Barbuda for today, but most of the Leeward Islands have been blazing hot again. These are your feels like temperatures, which are hitting 100 or above Fahrenheit in Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Barts, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat. Again, these are numbers that are in the low to mid 40s when we're talking about Celsius. Anything above 100 Fahrenheit gets to around 41 degrees Celsius. It's been an absolutely scorching day across the U.S. and British Virgin Islands as well. Again, feels like temperature. St. Croix, Christiansted around 108, St. Thomas around 100. Let's take a look at the visible satellite imagery. We're trying to, if nothing else, get a little bit of cloud coverage, maybe an isolated shower or storm here, but there's not a lot in the way of anything to cool things off. It feels like it's around 115 in Ponce. Now you're pushing nearly 50 degrees Celsius when you hit these numbers. Again, not actual air temperatures. These are your actual air temperatures in Fahrenheit, but they're still rough enough. Again, heat index factors in the dew point and the relative humidity, and you come up with a number to what it really feels like when you step outdoors. As far as gusts there, we've actually had some winds that have picked up across San Juan and Ponce and Aguadilla as well, Fajardo area, 15, 25 miles an hour from time to time. Trying to get a couple of showers to cool things off for our friends, mainly in Haiti, a couple of ice-age storms in the Dominican Republic, but once again, it's been a very rough afternoon. Your feels-like temperatures across the island are well above 100 in most spots. Puerto Plata has hit 115 for a feels-like temperature. Santo Domingo, 108. Port-au-Prince, Haiti, right around 110 again, 43 degrees Celsius. Storms are going gangbusters in the southeast side of Cuba. They're trying to then drift over the far southern side of the Bahamas and into the Turks and the Caicos. It's been hot. It's gotten really stormy. Look at the live lightning count here at Meteo Mundo. Those storms in just the last couple of hours have really cranked up, and it's actually produced a 55-mile-an-hour wind gust here in the southeast side of Cuba. So these are really rowdy storms developing there. I'm sure my friends in Jamaica are welcoming some of the rain that's come through. Once again, it's mainly in the central and the western sides of the island, leaving Kingston extremely hot and dry with a feels-like number that hit 117 Fahrenheit briefly this afternoon. It's been very rough there. I mentioned it yesterday's video. Not a lot of rain, at least through the mid portion of the week for Jamaica. We're trying to get a couple of storms here on the far western side of the island. Montego Bay, Trelawney, St. James parishes there to the east of Montego Bay, places like Falmouth, Cambridge South. Again, few chances there. Moving off towards the west, towards the Lucy area, Negril might catch a couple of scattered showers as well. An isolated showers possible across the Cayman Islands, but it's been relatively quiet there for today. And as I mentioned in yesterday's video as well, the Yucatan, Belize, quieter, storms developing mainly inland right now. Inland from Cancun, Cozumel, Tulum trying to catch a shower. Chechemal, same situation. We're dry across coastal areas of Belize. San Ignacio has had a nice little storm that's developed in that area as it pushes off towards the south and to the west. We're still a little bit drier across northern sides of Honduras. Storms are beginning to march in towards the east right now, trying to bring some cooler weather. And it's been a little bit wetter overall for Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama for today. Over to the Bahamas right now. Over to the Bahamas right now. Wrong button again. Over to the Bahamas right now. Scattered showers and storms developing. I mentioned that the northwest Bahamas would once again be a little bit more active for today, and that's what's happening. Let's take a look at the live radar here. We'll take off the satellite data very briefly. And once again, these storms aren't crazy, but they are producing some heavier rain, some gusty winds, fair amount of lightning. Now, the storms up towards Walker's Key, Grand Bahama, and Abaco have actually diminished through the afternoon hours. They were much more prominent today, right around the lunchtime hour or even late morning, but as they've moved off towards the east, they've lost some of that activity. We've had some hefty rain again for today, just like yesterday, across portions of Andros. Some of those are trying to move off the eastern side of the island and get back down towards New Providence, of course, the Nassau area. But again, these storms, as they move east, have also quickly dissipated. It's been a little bit more active today in the far western islands, even compared to Abaco and Eleuthera, Cat Island. Nice little thunderstorm there, trying to develop over Long Island. Watch the lightning count here right at the last second come back up. Let's throw on the satellite imagery out of this area. And again, you can see spotty rain, spotty showers and storms for Long Island and Rum Key and Exuma back down towards the Acklands. Nothing is concentrated, but again, where we catch some of these storms, we'll have some very heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and some cloud to ground lightning. Speaking of gusty winds, let's throw back on those wind gusts real quickly. Now, you're not going to catch a lot in the way of any wind gusts here, but as we get up to potential tropical cyclone number 8, you're going to see some gusty winds developing as soon as I actually put them back on. So let's talk about the latest with PTC number 8. Here's the situation. It's more than likely not going to develop into a tropical system. Now, it had winds that were sustained at around 50 miles an hour, but it never developed a true low-level center of circulation, and that's why we're not going to have Tropical Storm Helene. But the problems are still as if a tropical storm is moving into the Carolinas. We've had extremely heavy rainfall. We've had extreme coastal flooding in some areas. Places like Carolina Beach have really gotten hit hard. Very heavy rain up towards the Wilmington area, portions of North Carolina. All of these are wind gusts right now, and from time to time, we've had 40 and 50 mile an hour wind gusts here, brief isolated tornadoes to go along with the flood threat, the coastal flood erosion, high surf and sea conditions. So even though this is not going to end up becoming a named storm and remaining PTC number 8 as it moves inland, unless they pull the trigger, I mean at the very end, but that percentage continues to go down, so I doubt they will. I mean, would it completely shock me if for some reason they named it Helene 30 minutes before landfall? No, because I've seen them do it before, but I don't expect that to happen. But it is as if a tropical storm has moved into the Carolinas. And again, there are actually still tropical storm warnings for the Carolina coastline. Back out to the broad perspective, the other story, of course, is what's happening with Tropical Depression Gordon. Once again, it was a tropical storm, so even though it's back down to a tropical depression, it still holds its name, so it is Tropical Depression Gordon. This is the visible satellite imagery. It's a very weak storm. There are a lot of dry air ingestion into it right now. It's just not really holding up. Put on the water vapor imagery, look at all of the red around this and even getting into the inner core. Now, even though Gordon is going to be very weak, it is, and I apologize for that, forecast to strengthen back into a tropical storm again. But as I mentioned in yesterday's video, it's moving back into the central Atlantic and is going to stay a fish storm. So it's good news. Gordon was never very strong, and Gordon is forecast to remain well away from any landmass. Those are the kind of storms that we like to see. So now we're going to get to the forecast portion of the video, friends. And as we do so, again, really appreciate you guys taking a very brief second and liking this video. Liking and commenting really helps the channel more than you think. The interaction of the video really gets that YouTube algorithm interested, and it promotes the video. And so more people who don't even know we exist will see this video simply because you guys will take a quick second to drop a hi in the comments and click that like button. Thanks for subscribing as well. Remember, it's always free. Sharing this with your family and friends and other ways to support me here at the channel as well. So now we're going to get into the short-term forecast. We're going to look at the next few days, take a look at the island by island rainfall forecast, and then delve deeper into the potential tropical development here as we get towards the last week of September, because the signals are still high for much more activity. This week looks relatively quiet on the tropical front, if you will, with more than likely no new systems developing over the next 5 to maybe even 7 days. But I think at least 3 to 5 days out, we're looking pretty good. So let's talk about the models here. I'm going to start off with the NAM. We'll loop this up over the next few days, and then we'll go island by island. Look, a lot of you guys are desperate for a little bit more rain. It has been drier in some spots than what we would typically see in September, especially because we're not getting that tropical train, if you will, of waves moving across the main development region of the Atlantic to continue to freshen up the winds and bring that higher rain chances. And unfortunately, for some of you, the lower than average rain chances are at least going to continue through midweek, if not even getting closer to the weekend ahead. One such area is going to be our friends in the Lesser Antilles. Look, we've had some good passing showers in choice locations for today, but there is nothing widespread in the forecast over the next few days. Again, excessive heat warning was in effect for today for Antigua and Barbuda, and that could be extended for other islands up in the Leeward Islands as well. We had it for Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and so it's hot, it's dry, it's a little bit breezy, it's not very comfortable outside, and I just don't expect that to change much. Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados. Once again, could we get a few more showers in a couple of concentrated areas? Absolutely, but the chance for rain overall, 30 to maybe 40% chance at best, hoping the rain chance comes up a little bit beginning on Thursday. But for my friends in the British and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, once again, the easterlies will continue to provide a low-end chance for a passing shower, but that's about it. Feels like numbers should easily hit above 100 Fahrenheit, but more than likely 110 in a lot of spots. And again, that's around 43 degrees with air temperatures low to even some mid-90s in Fahrenheit. Not going to see much better rain chances for the Dominican Republic and Haiti as well. This is going to be some of the driest portions of our area over the next few days. Rain chances will begin to improve the farther west that we go for Punta Cana and St. Domingo, Port-au-Prince and Lecay, Puerto Plata. We're looking at some isolated showers in the afternoon hours. Once again, the localized impacts across Cuba, the peninsula there, just continue to promote better shower and storm chances, and we're just getting nice thunderstorms developing right across the spine of the island, and that will continue. Now, we've had some of that activity drift south and impact Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. We'll see if we can kind of catch a rogue shower or storm with that same thing, but generally speaking, the winds will be a little bit more east to west, and a lot of activity should kind of move off towards the west. So I mentioned it in yesterday's video. I've already mentioned it again for today, but for Kingston, Port Moore, Spanish Town, Port Antonio, Old Harbor, Mandeville, Ocho Rios, central eastern sides, and not a lot of rain. We've tried a little bit better activity out to the west, but even though it's been relatively dry, so rain chances do not look fantastic in this area in the short term. That's the same situation for my friends at the Cayman Islands. Again, passing showers. If you catch rain one of the next 3 afternoons, consider yourselves pretty lucky out there. Otherwise, again, please be very cautious of the heat. That is going to be a big story. Scattered showers will be a little bit more prominent for the Yucatan, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. Again, starting tomorrow, picking up a little bit more Wednesday, and probably around that same level on Thursday. Rather than isolated, they'll be more scattered in nature. Sure, it's not going to be extremely widespread, but there'll be more activity, more rain overall. Cancun, Cozumel, back down towards Belize City, Roatan, San Pedro Sula, Tegucigalpa, Managua, back down towards San Jose and Panama, especially down in Costa Rica and Panama once again. I mentioned it too in yesterday's video that the Central American gyre is going to try and get a little bit more active through the week, and that broad spin should continue to promote better rain chances, especially down here the further south you get into Central America. Now, we're going to continue to see some relatively active weather for the Northwest Bahamas. Rain chances will remain relatively high, and again, some of this activity won't wait until the afternoon hours. Just like today, we could get some mid to late morning showers and storms. Might linger a little bit longer than what they did on this Monday, but for Walker's Key and Grand Bahama and the Abaco Islands, Bimini and San Andros, Andros Island, Nassau, New Providence, on over towards Eleuthera, maybe as far south as Cat Island, that's going to be the area with your best chance. It will be a relatively sharp cutoff. There'll be a few showers and storms, central southeast Bahamas into the Turks and Caicos, but all the instability, all the moisture is going to be elongated to the north as it spins back into PTC number 8. Now again, PTC number 8 will quickly work its way north into the mid-Atlantic states, inland very quickly to the United States. Just be a rainmaker or flood maker by then, but still some of this moisture on the tail end of it will continue to impact portions of the Bahamas. And overall, Bermuda has some decent rain chances the next few days. It's nothing that's going to be extremely organized, but certainly enough moisture around to provide some decent rain opportunities. So here is your island by island rain forecast over the next 3 days for tomorrow in the Northwest Bahamas. 50% chance. I've even got it at a 60% chance for your Wednesday. Still a relatively decent 40% chance on Thursday. Once again, it's a pretty sharp decline. Central and southeast Bahamas, just an isolated shower storm chance. And a really low chance for the Turks and the Caicos. So that means it's going to be exceptionally hot there as well. Cuba's rain chances remain good on a daily basis. Cancun and, the Cayman Islands first, 30% chance for showers and storms the next few days, up to a 40 on Thursday. Belize City's rain chances coming up. Same thing for Cancun and Cozumel, to that more scattered, better rain chance. Highest chance in Belize City looks to be on Wednesday. Jamaica's rain chances. I wish it was better, man, but I'm talking about an isolated storm in the afternoon hours. That's about it. Dominican Republic's rain chances are relatively low, especially for this time of the year. 40% chance on Thursday. Can't even buy a 40 the next 3 days. Puerto Rico, the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands, again, isolated storms at best. Bermuda's rain chances are decent. Best chance will be tomorrow. Anguilla's rain chances should start to improve, especially on Wednesday and Thursday. St. Kitts and Nevis gets a bump in the rain chance as well as we head through the rest of the week. Same situation for the rest of this area. St. Martin, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Eustatius, St. Bart's, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, 30 to a 40% chance each day. Nothing outrageous, but again, choice locations, heavy rainfall, gusty winds and lightning, trying to cool things off for a bit. And again, without there being a significant tropical wave coming through, it's the easterly trades to try and just kick up a little bit of this moisture, give us a decent chance. We might get what we again call a shear line to come through. That's just a little bit more instability in the atmosphere to provide a little bit better rain chances. but nothing extremely prominent. So Barbados, 40% chance for tomorrow, but there could be some very heavy rain across portions of Barbados on Tuesday, 30 Wednesday, Thursday, Grenada 40 tomorrow, 30 Wednesday, Thursday as well. Flip it for Trinidad and Tobago, slightly higher Wednesday, Thursday. Okay chances Suriname and Guyana, then off the coastline of Venezuela, Nueva Esparta, and our friends in the ABC Islands. Once again, it's going to be relatively dry there. Wave heights and directions. Again, a kick to the system right off the Carolina coastline there. Some of those swells will even try to work their way across the Bahamas. You can see there'll be a little bit of a maximum of some wind and wave action in the central side of the Caribbean here over the next couple of days, trying to push off towards the west. But relatively speaking, we're doing okay. And then a second push towards next week back into the eastern seaboard of the United States, the Bahamas, Straits of Florida, Cuba, southeastern Gulf of Mexico. And we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up as well. But again, easterlies continuing, nothing outrageous. Could see some fresher winds though coming in with, again, the higher opportunity for a little bit more homegrown action beginning early next week. Okay, rainfall totals on the European model. Decent. Better in some spots for sure. Watch that fill in through the week. Cuba, Northwest, Bahamas, and then towards the end of the period, central and the western sides of the Caribbean, right? This is with the Central American gyre. I mean, look how widespread this is too. It basically paints on 2 to 4 inches of rain, or 50 to 100 millimeters through, I don't know, good old 1,000 miles. I mean, this is a very, very large swath of good rain, and it's because things are going to start getting cranked here in the central and the western side of the Caribbean right towards this weekend coming up, and then into early next week. And some of that moisture spreads northeast as well, okay? It will be drier still for the Lesser Antilles, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So now we're going to get into the kind of the tropics talk of this video here. And we're going to look at the longer term. So the first thing I'm going to do, let me bring back on the model time frame here. Apologize, I didn't have that for the last little bit, but we were just looking over the last few days. So let's bring up the GFS. And again, I'm going to take this out to the end of the month. Sure, why not? Well, I tell you what, I'm going to take it out to like mid next week. We went deep yesterday's video because we were basically at the halfway point of September. So I wanted to talk about the rest of September. Typically here on these daily videos, we go about 7 to 10 days out. And for the purposes of discussing the extra activity developing, that's as far as we have to go. You are looking at the GFS deterministic model. It's the main model of the GFS. We look at the ensembles as well, but as far as, you know, the one that you would find on all the websites, the ones that you would find on all the TV channels, this deterministic model is it. And it's clear to see, and there's been several days of this in a row, where we start to crank things up here over the weekend ahead and into early next week, central, western sides of the Caribbean. Now, again, whether this becomes tropical development or not, it's going to start getting a lot wetter in these areas. And I think a lot of you are going to appreciate that. I'm talking about maybe as far east as the ABC Islands, but certainly Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, maybe portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, and then into the Yucatan and portions of Central America. But coming along with this, and especially this time of the year, we always have to watch out for the potential for tropical activity. And the GFS does begin, just like it did in yesterday's run, try to spin up something here, potentially in the northwest side of the Caribbean. Now, on this model run, it tries to bring it back into the Gulf of Mexico as we get towards mid and late next week, okay? Yesterday, it was a little bit closer to the Bahamas, but the signal is still there for something to try and wrap up a little bit. That's what it looks like on reflectivity with a huge swath of rain. And again, the European model was extremely wet in this area here from days 5, 6 to 7, okay? So it just shows you all the ample moisture that's going to be cranked in. So regardless of any tropical development that might try to get a little bit squirrely here, I think it's going to be a period where it's very wet for the western side of the Caribbean, and that could include Cuba and the Bahamas, portions of Florida, or shift west to include portions of the Yucatan and into the southern side of the Gulf of Mexico. So this is still the GFS deterministic. Now we're just looking at winds. These are sustained winds at the surface. Going to take just a few moments here for the model to fully load when we're going this far out in time, all right? Let me just make sure I've also got it going that far. I do. So again, if you haven't hit the like button, I appreciate that right now as well. You're going to see that inherent with some of this rain that's developing, we're going to start to get a broad twist here in the northwestern side of the Caribbean off of this GFS model. Again, as we get towards next week at some point in time, it begins very broad, more than likely some gusty winds coming in with these tropical downpours developing. But towards the end of the model run, it does begin to get tighter. Again, it's just going to take another second or two to fully run. I've got it out 10 days. It takes a bit here, but you can kind of see this developing right here. And then there you go, right at the end. So let's see, we might have the full model run in now. It's getting close. Oh, I'm looking at it, we're still about a day away. So that's okay. There's a ton of information on this, but anywhere you see these purples, guys, these are winds that are over 20 miles an hour. And I just want you to notice how widespread that kind of wind field is going to be as we start to see just broader rain chances overall than you see at the end. Now, again, I don't want to put a lot of weight into what the GFS is doing at the end so far, but just note that we are getting tropical development coming out of this area towards the end of this, right? As we get to about day 9 and 10 from now. So you're talking about mid to late next week, all right? And we had some spin ups in yesterday's model as well. Yesterday it was farther east. Now we have a stronger signal in the Gulf of Mexico. But if you live in the western side of the Caribbean, starting next week, just get prepared for some much more active weather. Now, that was a deterministic model. Remember, there's 51 ensembles that run off the GFS as well. And so we look at this starting here over the next couple of days. We're going to be quiet. We're going to be quiet more than likely for tropical development right on through at least Friday. Maybe starting this weekend or potentially not until even early next week, we'll start to pick up some signals here in the northwest Gulf of Mexico on the GFS. All of this does have it lifting to the north. You can see there are some strong signals on the GFS as well. And then the dispersal is still from the Gulf of Mexico to the east coast of the United States. Some of that right over the Bahamas, some of that right over Florida, some of that into the central Gulf of Mexico, right? So this is kind of the progression, right? We're talking about what looks like a very active week coming up, starting next week for the Western Caribbean. Certainly looks like there's going to be a lot better rain chances. Certainly looks like there's going to be some gusty winds. But this time of the year, we have to keep a really close, keen eye on potential tropical development close to home as well. So that's a potential there. And again, on this GFS model, some of those are trying to ramp it up into some stronger storms to impact some of our areas. Once again, a few signals over the weekend. Most of them wait until Sunday, Monday, and then we start to see things get even stronger as we get into next week. And again, lifting north in latitude, but you can see the dispersal there. This is the European members as we get into next Monday, next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that was the end of the model. Once again, the European model has things quiet tropically at least through Friday, if not even Saturday, Sunday. But beginning over the weekend, there's a little bit faster loop you can see. And again, the European doesn't go out as far in time as the GFS does, so I'll let that run one more time. But notice again, these are relatively clustered and they're in the same area. So the two major global models have some kind of signals coming in to this area as we get into, again, mid to late next week. But until then, things are going to be relatively quiet. And you notice I did not mention the tropical wave train coming off of the west coast of Africa. We still have some tropical waves coming out here, but just like it has been since mid-August, they're kind of struggling right now. They're on the struggle bus. So I'm not as concerned with development in this area east of the Lesser Antilles, which, by the way, is one of the main development regions in September. But it looks like it's going to be a little bit closer to home here, central, western sides of the Caribbean for that next potential tropical development. Okay, friends, before I say goodbye, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing. Obviously, I'll have all the latest updates. I'll be back tomorrow with that. We'll talk about what's going on locally in your area day by day and these tropical updates as well. So thank you again for tuning in to Meteo Mundo. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow.